"Do not destroy it, Mr. Crane, or you'll bring back the ghost." Ichabod Crane clutched a small lump of straw and mud mashed together, with matchsticks and pebbles stuck in to resemble arms, legs, and eyes. While tidying the schoolroom, he had discovered the grotesque hiding behind some books on a shelf. To the schoolmaster it resembled a horrid, deformed goblin left by his new students in a bid to sicken or disquiet him. It was also the origin of the foul smell that had been making his nose wrinkle for the past few weeks. Something a little worse than mud had been mixed into this foul concoction. A ghost, you say? He had been about to thrust it into the fire, but now he carefully examined the crude doll. Perhaps, rather than a goblin, it was supposed to be a man. The boy who had cried out, James Churn, nodded excitedly. "It's a vessel for Mr. Isaiah Cowen, to stop him from wandering." The name sounded familiar, yet Ichabod could not remember where from. He raised his hand. "These dolls do not ward off spirits, only upset the living. You would do better to sprinkle salt by the windows or plant lilacs outside, if you believe in such things. Now, I want you to pick up your quills. We will be focusing on the history of the village." And Ichabod threw the doll into the fireplace. The flames hungrily devoured it, the straw blackening and mud melting, oozing into nothing. The boys, all of them, watched wide-eyed. Churn fingered the crucifix around his neck. As expected, the lesson had been uneventful. There had been one moment when all the boys had cried out at a sudden bang outside, but then Ichabod had gone to the window and opened it. A stray black cat had sauntered in, rubbing its head against the legs of the students. Churn had flinched when it tried to cozy up to him for food. Other than that, no ghost had made its presence known. Just as the tale of the wailing woman wrapped in the roots of an old oak tree was false, Cowen did not exist on this or any other plane. Ichabod ushered out the stragglers and then shut the door of the school. He pulled up the collar of his coat to protect his face from the harsh bite of the wind. "Do up your coat," he called after one of the boys, who was running off with his friends. "I'll not have you coughing and sniffling all tomorrow lesson." "Yes, Mr. Crane," came an annoyed grumble. Mr. Cowen was another one of the boys' tricks. At least it was more inventive than the last one, which had involved a nail they had wrenched out of a fence being placed upon his chair. The snow had not yet fallen, though it was cold enough to freeze the stars and send them plummeting down as sparking snowflakes. However, there was a mist haloing the emerging moon. From the tales his sister had told him years ago, Ichabod knew it was the heralding of a blizzard. Few remained outside. Light illuminated the tavern, and the shadows of men could be seen from the window as they forced the chill from their bones with hot cider and frothing ale. Cows and horses had been led into stables to burrow into straw beds. As he looked out at the distant trees, the whispering streams, and the striding shadows that had replaced the villagers, he half expected the ground to crack and bony fingers to burst out. It made him wonder if he had noticed the name Isaiah Cowen upon a gravestone. Ichabod often wandered the churchyards and woods, searching for any sign that a grave held an enemy of the glen. In past excursions he had found the secret horseshoe carving that named the dead a witch, yet not a trace of the mortal, rotting remains of the Hessian soldier known as the Headless Horseman. Ichabod had latched upon the tale when he had heard it from a local man while helping serve drinks at the Blue Bottle Inn near Tarrytown. It had been one of his reasons for taking the job of schoolmaster. A monster, the legend had described the headless horseman, and butcher who would slay women and children if they could not run fast enough. He had won many battles for the British. Had he not met death, the outcome of the Revolutionary War might have been different. While the soldier was locked in battle, a stray cannonball had shot through the fields and taken his head clear off. As the country folk in the old world's Norfolk blamed the storms and night shadows on the ghostly devil-dog Black Shuck, the villagers, leading all the way up to New York, believed the horseman's spirit roamed the land. He carried off anyone who was in his way when his horse galloped down the path, particularly at crossroads and bridges over water. Some of the missing were found, although never with their heads.